I guess, different thing. It also kind of depends on the weather and what's available and how much money if I can go to Spa Castle or not.
Love Spa Castle.
Okay. But, it's generally just trying to center myself and make sure I have enough rest and that I'm eating well. And when we're on set, make sure that we're not just eating fried foods and junk and a lot of sugar, because that's going to, we're going to crash and burn.
Right.
And that I'm able to be in a position to have a pleasant disposition for my cast and crew, because they depend on me.
Right.
If I'm cranky, then they're going to be cranky, and that's not going to help. So, yeah.
Okay, so that brings me to another question, because this is a personal question for me.
Okay.
What do you do, like, when conflict arises? Even if it's not, your fault. It could be between two people on your set. It could be someone who's bringing the noise to you. How do you, because you're trying to be the leader here,
right.
How do you manage to stay peaceful?
This
is an unanswered question.
Well, I like to think of myself as a person with a good sense of humor.
Okay.
That helps a lot. And, if everything is going just right, you can kind of sense when the conflict is like a block away. So you can try to maneuver
what do you do? Leave the room? You're like, time to go?
And I, if possible, try to surround myself with people who have a similar sense of humor and a similar temperament. Okay. My worst experience has been working with producers who were the most anal, retentive, just like, they were just on some other stuff, and did not have a sense of humor at all. And that was super taxing on me. But I was working with assistant directors and sort of like a crew that were able to hold me down.
Okay.
So when I could see them coming, I was like, okay, I'm about to go to the bathroom for a really long time, and I need y'all to handle that. And they knew, their job was to protect me, because if that threw me off, then our whole shoot's going to be off. Right. Or an actor who's really upset about things sometimes.
It can
we just need to take a walk together and talk about something else. And, I've been in some pretty crazy situations, and that we'll save for another show. It's if you have a good team that you can work with, that certainly makes it a lot easier. Otherwise, if I'm taking the brunt all by myself, then it's a lot more taxing.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you focus mainly on feature films? Do you do docs? Do you do theater?
I have not yet done a feature. That's something that I'm still strategizing on, scheming and plotting on how to raise money for.
Gotcha.
Especially in this country,
really
being
hard.
able to raise money to shoot a feature film in Africa about Africans with an African lead actor.
Hard.
It's hard to find money for that. There is some money in Europe. That money tends to have strings attached for the most part.
And when you say strings attached, let's make that clear for the audience.
Different things, depending on where it's from. I mean, listen, it's government money from government X in Europe. Okay. So they're going to have to justify them spending that money by hiring their own people to be the head, to direct it, to write it, to shoot it, to edit it, to do something. Right. Yeah. So, I have friends, for example, who've gotten French money, for example, but they have like this point system. And so within the points and how it worked for his particular film, he even though he had written his script, he needed to have some French guy come and rewrite the script.
Rewrite it?
Yeah. So that they could get a writing credit, because you need to have either a French writer, director, or producer, or something like that. So things of that nature, or a lead actor. So that's when you start getting, Jennifer Hudson playing Winnie Mandela, which to me is just disappointing, because
the
South
culture.
Africa has some amazing actors. Like, it's not because we don't have actors on the continent that we need to find somebody else.
Right.
But from an American perspective, if Americans are putting money in it, then they want to know that their film's going to sell in an American audience, and they don't feel like, I mean, in the same way that generally films by Black people in this country, African Americans, you know, Hollywood or a lot of studio-based don't feel like Black films sell unless Will Smith or Denzel is in it, or, you know, Halle Berry or somebody like that. While there are so many fantastic quality actors who do an amazing job, but because they're not ranked as A-listers or box office sellers or whatever it is, then
they don't want to
there's a certain amount of money that will be invested, or up to a certain amount of money will be invested in those kinds of projects.
Right.
So,
like the white guy who was playing Michael Jackson. It's the
for
same
example.
thing. It's the same thing.
For example.
Yes.
I have directed for TV, which was actually a lot of fun. I loved writing for TV because you get to actually write with a group of writers, and it's not just like a solitary.
How's that? How's that experience? Collaborating with others.
It was fantastic.
Really?
It was really fantastic. I mean, because writing can be very lonely.
True.
You know, just you're there by yourself trying to make decisions on what this person's life is like. It's a lot nicer to write with a bunch of people, you know.
Wow. No arguments started?
Sure, of course we argue all the time.
Of course.
But that's part of the joy of it, you know.
Okay.
So and I've loved directing for TV as well, although it requires quite a bit of stamina because at least I've directed in Kenya on the continent because media is so open. As a director for TV, I just directed the whole entire season as opposed to just like one or two episodes. I just do the whole thing, you know.
Wow,
so,
that's kind of good experience, though.
Yeah, it's
because
great
if you
experience.
ever had to do it here, then you're like, oh, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, it was great experience in terms
Wow.
of being able to just work with actors for 3 months straight.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow.
But, you know, I had to eat my Wheaties, you know, for sure. It was very taxing on me.